Okay, welcome to the channel and welcome to the first Banter in the Box of the new season. A Meet the Managers special part 1. Always eagerly anticipated at the start of every season, and I'm going to do the Meet the Managers specials over 3 parts over the next few weeks so that they're all complete before the season starts properly on the 12th of September. I say season starts properly because the season actually starts in 1 week's time. Next Saturday, Arsenal and Liverpool compete in the Community Shield. As per the rules, that game counts towards Families Fantasy Football League points, and so we will have our first league table of the 26th season next Saturday night. But it's important to know your enemies, and you will have the opportunity to do that over these first few Meet the Manager specials over the next few weeks. So today we're going to be meeting the lowest ranked managers in this season's Family Fantasy Football League competition, the also-rans, if you will. We'll also be covering the current manager of the season table. Lots of manager of the season points have already been scored this season, even though the season's in the very early stages. Since I announced that the manager of the season last season would win a free tactical gambit, everyone started taking the manager of the seasons a lot more seriously. And this season's manager of the season will win at least a free tactical gambit to use next season. So manager of the season points have been earned by many people this season, primarily for taking part in either the Who is the Best Looking Poulter that we ran on the Facebook group, and also managers earned manager of the season points for watching the end of season presentation awards. Sorry again for the quality of the video, had some technical issues, and that's why you're watching a recording, and all the Banter in the Boxes going forward will be recordings. I've given up trying to do them live, way too dangerous. But if you watched the presentation awards, those of you that did watch it, you will know that there was opportunities throughout the presentation awards to earn manager of the season points. Several of you took that opportunity. It's now too late to get those manager of the season points from the watching the presentation awards video. So if you haven't yet watched it, I mean, still watch it if you want, but you can't now get the manager of the season points that were on offer during that video. And then I'm going to set this week's quiz question to give you more opportunities to earn more manager of the season points. So we'll kick off with the first manager. No happy endings. A brand new Family Fantasy Football League manager, the furloughed one, Maloney, ranked 28th of the 28 managers in the competition, and this is Die's debut season. Now, why ranked 28th? Well, obviously the new managers never have any form to go on, so they're always ranked very low, and there were 2 managers competing in their very first season this year, and of those 2 managers I decided for no reason than gut instinct that Di was probably going to be the worst of the 2 of them, so I ranked her lowest in the league this season. I will say that Di is supported by her son Carl, who for some reason everyone in the family calls Cole, don't know why, so maybe she will do better than I'm expecting her to do. At least Di's already got her team in, and it was valid at the first attempt, so that was a good sign. In terms of the furloughed one, this is inspired by the Creed Bratton Society manager Jordan Williams, slightly inspired as well by Jose Mourinho, who is almost as famous as Jordan Williams. But when Jose Mourinho became Chelsea manager and arrived in England, he gave himself the title the Special One. And I've noticed that Jordan Williams likes to follow in Jose's footsteps and give himself a title whenever he communicates with me, and he normally changes it depending on how he's feeling. After his poor season last season, he's now calling himself the Consistent One. So, kind of inspired by that, I've given all of the managers their own label, and Dye is the furloughed one, simply because Dye has been furloughed. I think, as far as I can remember, before furlough even existed, was even a thing, before COVID, 1974, I think, was the last time Dye actually went to work. No sign of Dye returning to work either in the current COVID pandemic. She's enjoying being furloughed, it's fair to say. And you might think, well, that's great, she's at home all day, she must be really, really looking after her husband. Well, sorry to report that that's not the case. Ostrich Bar Stewards manager Steve Maloney still has to cook his own dinner every single night. So there you go. There is your first manager, debut manager, unknown quantity. Not much I can reveal about how much of a threat Dye will be. And then we have our second debut manager, AFC Razor, managed by Ray, the best looking one, Porter. Ranked 27th, as I said, just because my gut instinct, even though Ray is an Arsenal fan, I feel he'll probably do better than Dye. This is Ray's debut season. Good to see Ray fully embracing the Family Fantasy Football League. Already asked to join the Facebook group, which I obviously accepted his request, and has featured heavily on the Facebook in these early weeks of the season. Was the subject of the poll, who is the best looking Porter. You simply had to decide. By the way, it's too late to get a manager of the season point by taking part in that poll now, but many people took part in the poll to get the manager of the season point. Who was the best looking Poulter was the question. Was it debut manager Ray or Napoli manager Lee Poulter, Ray's son? It was no contest really, although the result was much more surprising, much more close than I thought it was going to be. But Ray did win the poll 4 votes to 3 and is therefore the best looking Poulter in the Family Fantasy Football League. And he got 2 manager of the season points just for winning that poll. And if he'd voted for himself, he would have got a 3rd manager of the season point. But hey ho. So again, another unknown quantity, being it's Ray's debut season. You might look at his son for some form guide. His son's never done anything, so that may suggest that Ray's not going to be any threat. Time will tell. And then Coldplay United, Martin the Evil One Maloney, ranked 26th of the 28 managers. His debut season last season, he didn't win anything, but he did finish 27th. Would have been relegated, but for the fact that 5 managers dropped out last season, gave Martin the opportunity to rejoin the Family Fantasy Football League, and he took it. With a season under his belt, he should do better this season. Now he knows what it's all about. Why is he the evil one? Well, Martin is a twin, and I've met Martin's brother Chris, and let's just say that Chris is really nice. So therefore, Chris is the nice twin, Martin is the evil twin. Maybe Martin's relegation season last season, I think he spent pretty much, if not the entire season, pretty much the entire season in the relegation zone. Maybe that was down to the fact that he was a new dad last year, but his daughter's must be coming up for 1 now, so he hasn't got that excuse anymore. So we're expecting a lot more from Martin Maloney this season. And then a returning manager, one of 3 returning managers, Nicholas Anelka, Nick the pole dancing one, Irvin, ranked 25th of the 28 managers, been in and out of the Family Fantasy Football League over the last 2 decades. Nicola is returning this season for what will be her 10th Family Fantasy Football League competition. So certainly an FFFL veteran, but in those previous 9 seasons Nick has never won anything. Her best finish was way back in 2001 when she finished 10th. Now, why the pole dancing one? Well, it's obvious. Nick is the only Family Fantasy Football League manager in history who is a pole dancer. In fact, I think that photo was taken when she was just about to go on stage and do a set. You can see a group of men in the background eagerly awaiting her to start her show. So that's why Nick is the pole dancing one. Dustbin Dynamos up next, managed by John the Short One Tustin, ranked 24th of the 28 managers. 6 previous seasons for John, so again, no excuses, something of an FFFL veteran. Never won any major honours, but John has received a Manager of the Month award on 1 occasion, and his best ever finish in a Family Fantasy Football League season was last season when he finished 17th. 17th isn't particularly high, but that was his best ever finish. Maybe John is getting the hang of it. John is pictured there. Admittedly, it's not a very good photo. In fairness to John, that was taken on his wedding day, and hey, who looks good on their wedding day? And why is John called the Short One? Well, not for reasons that you would probably think. John is not short by any measure. I imagine he's about 6'1", but he recently managed Marie Hightower Appley and moved in with Marie and her for Land of the Giant Children, and as a result he's now known in the Appley household as the Short One, hence John the Short One Tustin. Will he have his best ever season this season? Time will tell. Next up, Megan Hoxlade Chamberlain. Megan the Clumsy One, Hoxby. Ranked 23rd of the 28 managers. 8 previous seasons in the Family Fantasy Football League, and in all that time Megan has never won anything. Her best ever finish was the season before last when she finished 12th in 2019, and Megan had a chance of her best ever season last season. Those of you that were involved in the season before last, you'll remember we had a raffle for the brain tumour charity, and there were several prizes that were drawn that would aid people last season, and there were 2 particularly really good tickets that people were eager to get. One of them was Oy's Mine, where you could transfer in a player that somebody else had, which you can't do in the normal rules, and another one was a Benefit Fraudster, where you could, when you transferred in a player, you got the points he'd already scored up to that point. Normally when you transfer in a player, you don't get any of the points he's already scored. He just starts scoring points from the moment you transfer him in. Megan drew those 2 bonuses, which could have been worth, well, would have been worth several hundred points at least. And for reasons only Megan knows, she never bothered using them last season, and ended up finishing a lowly 24th. So, will this be the first season that Megan becomes a force and wins something in the Family Fantasy Football League? Time will tell. Nothing particularly, no backstory to the name Megan the Clumsy One Hoxby. The Clumsy One simply because anyone who knows Megan knows she is incredibly clumsy. Next up we have Soccer Sucks, managed by Ryan the Pranked One Perrin. Ranked 22nd of the 28 managers. 4 previous seasons in the Family Fantasy Football League, and in all that time Ryan has won nothing. He had his best finish, 15th, back in 2018. And why is Ryan the pranked one? Well, because he lives with Sophie, and Sophie likes playing pranks. Unfortunately, Sophie's lazy and she only plays pranks on the closest person to her, and unfortunately for Ryan, that's normally him. Also, unfortunately, Sophie doesn't know what a prank is, so when she thinks she's pranking Ryan, she's not actually pranking him, she's just being horrible. I'll give you an example. They were going on holiday to Wales last year, and Sophie asked Ryan if he had his passport, and Ryan said he didn't need his passport, and Sophie said, yeah, Wales is another country, I've checked, we need our passports, and then just sat back laughing to herself while Ryan spent half an hour searching for his passport that he didn't think he needs. That, in Sophie's eyes, is a prank, and that is what Ryan has to endure on an almost daily basis. Next up, another returning manager, Cool Dudes United manager George the Adult One Irvin, ranked 21st of the 28 managers, had 3 previous seasons in the Family Fantasy Football League, and over those 3 seasons George didn't win anything. His best finish was 15th, way back in 2005, 15 years ago. And the reason why George is called the Adult One is because George hasn't competed in the Family Fantasy Football League since 2005, when he had his best ever season. And I imagine then George was, well, he was definitely a kid. I think he was probably, I'm going to say 12 years old, something like that. So he returns after a 15-year wait. Lord knows what he's been waiting for, to have another go at the Family Fantasy Football League, this time as an adult. Will he do any better? Time will tell. Next up, Napoli manager, and that I can tell you because he's told me himself is Lee's favourite photo of himself, and he insists that I always use it in every banter in the box, so I'm here to please. Lee the henpecked one, Poulter, ranked 20th of the 28 managers, 3 previous seasons in the Family Fantasy Football League, and in that time Lee has never won anything. Although, having said that, Lee had his best ever season last season when he finished 13th, the first time he'd ever finished in the top half of the table. Why is Lee the henpecked one? Well, Lee lives with girlfriend Hannah, and even Hannah's mum Donna will tell you that Hannah is lazy. And Lee and Hannah recently bought their first house together. It's not their first place together, but their first house together. So, you know, things are getting serious. And basically Lee does everything and Hannah does nothing. Well, that's a lie. I mean, Hannah does work. She's an accountant. She, you know, does her times tables and stuff like that. But basically around the house, Lee does everything. Cleans, cooks, and I'm reliably informed by Hannah's mum that even if Hannah's, say, sitting there and she needs her phone, but her phone is somewhere else in the house, or maybe even somewhere else in the room, she will call Lee from a long way away so he can come to her and then retrieve her phone so that she doesn't get up. And for some reason, Lee does it. So he is the henpecked one. Next up, the last manager, the 10th manager that's featuring in today's episode, is Clockhouse Rangers manager George the great one Moody, pictured there with his assistant manager, great Auntie Jill. George is ranked 19th of the 28 managers, and George has competed in all but one of the previous 25 seasons, so definitely a veteran, and that's probably the first time George has ever been described as a veteran in his life. And George has won some major honours. Runner-up in the FFFL Cup on 2 occasions, 1998 and 2006. He's also received 2 Manager of the Season awards. Not a lot to show for 24 seasons in the Family Fantasy Football League, which is one of the reasons why he's ranked as low as 19th. Another reason is the fact that in his debut season, George won the Wooden Spoon, and he has regularly finished down the bottom half of the table and down towards the relegation zone as well. But his 2 best seasons were in 1999 and 2012, when George finished 9th, known as the kiss of death, because George will regularly pick a perfectly healthy player or transfer in a perfectly healthy player who then immediately sustains a serious injury that puts him out for the season. So take a close look at George's team when I share them on the 11th of September. And if you've got any players in your team that George also has in his, it might be a good idea to transfer them out sharpish. And why is George called the great one, or the great one? Well, because George is a great uncle, and he's soon going to be, for the first time, and in fact it's Saturday, so he probably already is, because I'm sure his daughter was being induced on Friday. George is either already or very soon to be a grandfather for the first time. And if you are, George, congratulations, as well as congratulations to Jill, who is therefore a grandmother for the first time. So they're the 10 managers that are the lowest ranked managers in the Family Fantasy Football League this season. Someone cruelly described them as the also-rans. I'm not endorsing that. You might look at these managers and go, no fret, don't need to worry about them. Well, in part 2 next week, I'll be sharing the next 9 managers, those ranked 10th to 18th. Those bringing a little bit more pedigree to the table, a little bit more of a threat. But don't go anywhere yet, because we haven't finished this video yet. I wanted to share with you the current manager of the season table. That's what it looks like. And joint top is currently 3 managers. Hatch United manager Neil Hatch. The current manager of the season, Benny United manager Mark Benwell, and Napoli manager Lee Poulter, leading the way in the manager of the season stakes. They all have 4 points, and that's because they all took part in the Who is the Best Looking Poulter on the Family Fantasy Football League Facebook group. If you're not a member of that Facebook group and you want to join, just send me a request and I will add you. So they got 1 point for taking part in that poll. If Lee had won it, he would have got another 2 points, but he didn't, because his dad's better looking than him. And they also got 3 points for watching the end of season presentation awards. Or well, they didn't get 3 points for watching it, but throughout the end of season presentation awards, whether you watched the whole thing live, and if you did, you deserved more than 3 manager of the season points, because that was a car crash. Or if you watched the pre-recording over the 2 parts, during those end of season presentation award videos, there were 3 opportunities to earn manager of the season points, and Mark, Neil and Lee took that opportunity, as did Sarah Simons as well. She got all 3 points from the end of season presentation awards video. It's too late to get those points now, so don't think, oh, I didn't really want to watch it, but I'll go and watch it if I might get something out of it. Gone, that chance is gone. And Nikki Saunders also got 2 points from watching the end of season presentation awards, so she either didn't watch it all or she missed one of the questions when it appeared. And the others have got points for taking part in the either a combination of they got one of the questions right from watching the presentation awards, or they took part in the who is the best looking poulter. There's loads of opportunities to earn manager of the season points throughout the season. We do things like quote of the week, for people that say something amusing on the Facebook group or comment on the YouTube videos. You'll get points from answering a question that I'll set on the YouTube videos. There's one coming up in a moment. Loads and loads of ways to earn Manager of the Season points. And as I say, there will be a prize again this season, and like last season, at the moment that prize is going to be a free tactical gambit to use next season. Mark Benwell was the Manager of the Season last season, so he has a free tactical gambit to use this season. If you don't know what a tactical gambit is, you need to go away and read the rules. So this year's Manager of the Season will get a free tactical gambit, but who knows, I may add more to the Manager of the Season prize pot. Who knows? But the chance to earn a Manager of the Season point this week is the old favourite, who the fuck is that? You simply need to tell me that is a photo of a current Family Fantasy Football League manager, and you just need to tell me which manager that is. And if you do that before the next Banter in the Box video, you will get a Manager of the Season point. And just a reminder, not that you should need it, because I'm posting reminders via email and on the Facebook group and everywhere, but taking every opportunity to remind you, you have until 9 p.m. on the 10th of September, which is a Thursday, to submit your team. If you haven't entered your team by 9 p.m, a team will be allocated for you as detailed in the rules. And by 9 p.m. means when that clock hits 9 p.m. on Thursday, the 10th of September, your team has to be with FFL HQ. If it comes in at 1 second past 9 or thereafter, you will have a team allocated for you. If you want your team checked before the season starts on the 12th of September, or Premier League I should say starts on the 12th of September, because as I said earlier, the season actually starts next week. If you want your team checked before the season starts on the 12th of September, you need to have your team submitted by the 6th of September, because FFL HQ is closed from the 7th until the 11th, and I won't be checking any teams whilst I'm on my holiday, because the Chancellor won't let me. So if you want your team checked, get it in by the 6th. If you're confident you don't need it checked because you're clever enough to submit a valid team, then leave it till after the 6th, but make sure you get it in by 9 p.m. on the 10th of September. Remember, you can change your team as often as you want up until 9 p.m. on the 10th of September. You can change it as often as you want without penalty, so there is no need to leave it till the last minute. Currently 7 managers have submitted a team. And just one final thing before I sign off: if there is any particular content you would like to see in the Banter in the Boxes, things that I'm not doing that you would like to do, let me know. Always open to suggestions, whether it's that you want me to, you're struggling with a certain aspect of the rules and you would like me to cover it. I know that when I've done Behind the Laughters, which take a lot of work, so I'm not going to do them every week, but I think I did 2 last season. They always go down very well. So if there's a particular manager that you would like me to cover in a Behind the Laughter, I can do that. Last season I covered Wayne Robinson, Sashamas FC manager, and Soccer Sucks FC manager Ryan Perrin. The season before that, Benny United manager Mark Benwell featured in the Behind the Laughter. So I've already done those 3, but if there's any other manager you'd like me to do, that's fine, or any other suggestions you've got for Banter in the Box, just let me know. So that's it for this week's, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and as I say, this Banter in the Box episode 2 will be another Meet the Manager special, part 2, where I'll be sharing details of the next 9 best ranked managers in the Family Fantasy Football League. See you later.